Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 143 of the Save Slot 3 Gamescast. I'm your host, Eva Gizmo, joined this week by Massive Daz
Hello, everyone.
and Mr. Craig, being Craig.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, boys. So, another week. Nothing's happened this week, boys. Nothing major in the gaming world at all has happened this week, and we will discuss all the nothing on the Pengles news desk. Time for some news.
We got 6 items of news.
A baker's dozen.
So Baker's half a dozen. Number 1, House of the Dead 2 is getting a remake and it's coming for everything.
And
Did you buy the first one? I vaguely remember.
Yeah, I did. I bought it on Switch. I played it, finished it, sold it. Good times were had by all. No, it wasn't actually that great.
Such is the
I
way.
don't remember you liking it, really.
No, it wasn't great. House of the Dead 2 was the better game back in the day anyway, so that's got an advantage. Being remake of a better game, but yeah.
I think this remake looks terrible as well. I watched the trailer and it's way too almost brown and realistic, and it was a very silly arcadey game. So the blood used to be green and it used to be kind of silly, whereas this is it's got weirdly AI looking blood splatters and it's really shiny. And yeah, I watched the trailer and I was like, ugh. No, thank you. Give me Typing of the Dead though, Pengi, and we're back in.
Yes. That could be a thing for you, if that's what you want. So none of us are that bothered about House of the Dead
We're not.
2, really. Item 2 on the news, Dynasty Warriors Origins it was actually on an 81, it sat on. Did we think it was going to get an 81? Because none of us drafted it for Fantasy Critic.
Did we not? I thought one of us did. Or if I
Nope.
dreamt that. I wish
You
I'd
dreamt
heard
that.
that, because I would have done that. God damn it.
Yeah, it's reviewed really well, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's kind of a strange game because I was really excited for it when they first announced it, and then they did the demo, and I really liked a lot of the demo, but it was really weirdly hard, and I was like, what's going on here? Why have they done this? And then I feel like I don't actually think the main game is as hard as the demo.
Right, okay.
Listening to some things is they made the demo they changed some stuff in the demo on purpose.
Right, okay.
And now I'm like, well, why did they do that? So I kind of is it like the demo, or is because I've watched a few reviews, none of them have complained about it being all your allies just dying instantly. Or because I know I never even got to Lubu in the demo, but I know Lubu was meant to just be ridiculous.
Yeah, I got to him in the demo on my second time, and he absolutely destroyed me. And I was like, right, okay.
Yeah, and then they were like, oh yeah, no, Lubu's not as hard as that in the main game. And I was like, why? So I don't know if this demo is just a really, really poor representation of that game. Because the other thing in the demo is I'm guessing it just gave you all of the abilities and everything straight away. Because if you remember, there was endless text boxes and it was just teaching you every 2 seconds. It was all right, you do this now, we'll do this. And it sounds like actually that's quite strung out in the game and quite slow to kind of implement and teach you stuff, which is probably a good thing, right? So I'm a bit oh, I kind of listening to some reviews and that. I'm like, oh, I kind of want to play this, but then I'm playing that demo. I was like, oh, I don't know, this just doesn't seem right. So I'm unsure at this point about Dynasty Warriors Origins. I wish they just did the classic right. The demo is just the first hour, and your save carries over or something,
Yeah.
as opposed to whatever it is they did. But it's one I feel like I could maybe go back to. Maybe I'll give it some time, see what more people think.
Yeah.
See if there are people whinging and moaning about all your allies dying in 5 seconds, and Lubu slaughtering them in 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Before before I make the plunge because I don't know how much it is. But I'm very hesitant now. I'm very excited to not interested to like. Oh, maybe I should be excited again, but I don't really want to spend however much it is, £50. I'm going to assume.
Yeah,
50
If
quid.
you get it for 50, I guess, from a shop too or a game
It's
collection or
£50
something.
on Amazon. In fairness,
Oh,
yeah. So I'm like, I kind of I want to play it, but I'm confused as to what the product actually is at this point.
yeah, I feel the same as you. Like that demo was pretty. Like I said, I got to loot booty the second time, got destroyed, and I was like, okay. I was like,
It looks like I
maybe.
liked a lot of what they did. Like the combat was really good. I thought
Mm,
so much better than just like mashing a button and like everything just dying. But it was just the weird way that you start the mission and within 30 seconds all your allies are dead and you're like, what? What's going on here?
yeah,
I ain't even got to my first base yet.
terrible. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, it's one of those. I really like the look of what I've seen of streamers play it and reviews and stuff. Obviously, I haven't played the demo because of Craig's talk about the demo whenever he played it. It looks really good. I think it's one of those. I think I'll wait for a sale or for it to drop in the kind of like 35 range on PS5 because obviously then you can buy it and still make a little bit of money back if that makes sense. But it looks really good. Looks really impressive and like Craig said, the reviews I've seen haven't been like, oh, it's Souls. It's more like, oh, it's just a modern version of the old games, really. And I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. I quite like the characters and the way it's designed. So, yeah, I'm open to it, Pengi. I'm definitely open to it. I think it looks pretty fun and it's reviewed well, so that's good to know.
That is good. Next one on the news. PlayStation have cancelled 2 live service games. They put an article up via Bloomberg. I don't know if it was Jason Schreier, your favourite Dave, but they did do an article through Bloomberg saying they had cancelled 2 live service games the day after the TOTS happened. So I feel they picked their time quite right. Because this news might have gone a bit under the radar because of the bigger news the day before. The games that are cancelled, one is from Sony Bend. Their last game was Days Gone, which is on my backlog challenge. The rumours was it was a Division-like game, which for a live service title, I don't think that sounded too bad. So what do you think if that had happened? Would you have been interested in a Division made by Sony? If you know, Dave.
Yeah, it's a funny one really because I think so. Obviously, the bigger picture is, and again, like there's been so many videos and articles about this week. When people aren't reacting to the big news, like you said, Pengi, about this very much failed games of a service, live service push that Sony's been on last couple of years. My most disappointing thing was to hear that that's what Bluepoint was working on, and then like because
Yeah, that was the next. I was gonna see what your thoughts was on the Bend.
on Bend, I mean Bend's difficult because they've kind of from the outside seems like they've screwed around with Bend for quite a few years now since Days Gone. Like they were on an Uncharted project for a while, and then obviously over to this multiplayer project. And it's difficult because I think Bend has quite a good track record with games. I think you'll find as well when you play Days Gone, it's a good game. Just didn't hit at the right time. You think of all their side games they did, right? Because they did Golden Abyss, and then they did the 2 God of War games on PSP, right? That's them. Or was that until?
No, that was Ready at Dawn.
Ready at Dawn. Sorry about that. But yeah, they've got a pretty good like repertoire of games, right? So it's really difficult because if The Last of Us isn't going to work, then I don't see how any of the other ones were going to work, right? So like, I can't believe that Fair Games is still a thing.
Yeah, there is there's a list of the PlayStation. Well, let's talk about Bluepoint as well. Before I get that, Bluepoint, also their game is apparently a God of War live service game that they were doing, which kind of because they said they were making a new game, but they never said like a remake or brand new game. So I guess using the God of War universe made sense, and they did help with Ragnarok. They were like a support studio on that. But if, like you're saying, with Last of Us, if God of War doesn't work as a live service game with that IP behind it, I'm not sure what and does and doesn't work as a live service from Sony. Now, and the other one that was cancelled was Payback, which I don't really know much about, which was from Bungie. But then Bungie's rumored to be having one in the works called Gummy Bears, which is like a MOBA one. So I don't know what was bad about Payback and what's good about Gummy Bears that's allegedly happening of the live service games from PlayStation. Craig, what's your thoughts on all this stuff?
I mean, to start with Bend, I mean, I personally wouldn't have. I don't think that'd be, let's say, for another division-like game. I think that probably has played its service now. I don't know if I would have wanted another one of them. It is weird, isn't it? Because you think how many years have Ben sunk into this at this point? Because Days Gone was a long time ago now, right?
Yeah.
So, we're in a position where, like, when's Ben's next game now? They're starting over again, essentially, now, I imagine. And it sounds also like, from what Jeff Grubb was saying, that the studios found out pretty much the same time we did.
Yeah.
So that's pretty brutal that God knows how many years worth of work is just gone. God knows how much money is just gone, I guess.
Well, there'll be.
And I imagine they will be pitching ideas now again to kind of, right, what are we doing next then, boys? What's next, if there is a next, I guess, is, would be the worry at the studio.
Yeah.
And I mean, the God of War one, I mean, if you say, if that doesn't work, I don't know how they thought that was ever going to work. That's mental. Well, I think just going, right, this is a big IP, make a games as a service model, I think it's just insane. I think they obviously tried that with Last of Us, and it obviously didn't work. And it's I just don't understand how they ever thought God of War was gonna.
Well, the worst thing is, Craig, they did a God of War multiplayer game before, and it didn't work.
Yeah,
they're on the PS3. Yeah, so
yeah.
So again, this is that thing of Bluepoint of how many years has Bluepoint been working on this now? The last game was Demon's Souls remake, right?
Yeah.
And that was the launch on the console again. So now, if Bluepoint are starting over again, when's Bluepoint next game?
Yeah, see, I don't know if
you can kind of play that out across all of the studios of Sony, like
I don't know if you can make a God of War spin-off and use what was there. I don't know. There was obviously the article I was trying to find from November 2023, where it was Toki said in financial calling that Sony is reviewing the 12 live first PlayStation games that it has in the works, committed to launching only 6 of them by the end of the year financial thing, meaning by the end. That
seems optimistic now because they've cancelled 9 in the last 12 months.
So the ones that we know still coming, well, when that happened, obviously Helldivers wouldn't have been out. So Helldivers come out.
Concord did briefly.
That came out. That's 2 of them. Fair Games is 3. Marathon's 4. I guess Gummy Bears is 5. And so I don't know what the 6 were. The Horizon Monster Hunter. So that's the 6, I guess.
Yeah, if we see all of them, definitely.
And that's a pretty horrific list of 6. Bear in mind that one lasted 2 weeks. Gummy Bears, again, I could be wrong, but it's an incredibly hard market to break into, MOBAs. Incredibly hard, and I think without an established anything, I think that would struggle. I mean, it's difficult because it's a funny one because obviously we tend to hear more doom and gloom on the green side of the equation here, right? But like I've seen a lot of like the PlayStation fanboys basically say like, well, this is the PS5 going to be the worst PlayStation console, isn't it? Because like Craig said, like you can't just spin a studio up for a new game. When's the PS6 going to come out? 2 years?
Oh, these studios are working on PS6 games now at this point.
Right, so like I said, there'll be redundancies because being in full production is completely different to pre-production in terms of the body count. So you'll probably lose quite a lot of talent. Like that'll be the next news article we hear because I don't think they'll shut these studios, but I think you'll get them probably cut in half. If they were 100-person teams, you don't need 100 people for pre-production. So Bluepoint, I always think stands a better chance because Bluepoint historically can and will pick up remake projects. So
so maybe Sony will now go, Bluepoint, can you go make us a Bloodborne remake, guys, or something?
Yeah, I can't. I mean, they're probably the only other studio from that would touch Bloodborne, because Bloodborne, obviously, from what we've seen from Shu, is very like close to Miyazaki's heart. But I think obviously they do Demon Souls, right? So it's one of those where you think like Bluepoint would probably be okay, because I think they could spin up a game quite quickly because of the nature of what they do. But yeah, Bend is, like I said, Bend's been fooled around for a while now, and Bend, I wouldn't be surprised if Bend does fold into another team soon enough, because again, like, I think their only plus point is that where they are in Oregon is actually a very cheap place to have a game studio. Like if it was in Montreal, for example, I would worry, because obviously it's much more expensive to spin up a studio. But yeah, it's not great. It's not great. It's one of those, like, I kind of look, and I think we'll look back on the PlayStation 5 and be like, oh cool, so thank God for Insomniac, right? But like, other than that, it's not a great first party lineup. I think it's kind of almost lucky in a way that Xbox is so heartfelt on shooting themselves in the face and putting their games on PlayStation, which seems ironic now, doesn't it? Because if they didn't, they'd have such a better lineup, it'd be wild. But
and I guess Sony, like their how many millions GTA 6, and they're going to get their 30% of that, and that is, I guess, that is their huge plus now. Right, we know GTA 6 is coming. That is gonna be
that was really the PS4, if you remember. Like the PS4 was the big GTA 5, FIFA, Call of Duty box for a while.
They're 30% of all of that,
right? And then when they had Spider-Man, which is obviously a really big IP, that helped. And then obviously you get your usual ones, your Gran Turismos and stuff. So, but yeah, not good news. Hopefully something
they
survives.
said they're not closing either of the studios, and obviously, like you said, with Bluepoint, they commercially you're going back to remakes or something.
Yeah.
So I can see them staying around. More.
Do we think this is like been driven completely by Concord?
No.
Do you think because suppose that cost them so much money, didn't it?
I think Concord was the final nail in that coffin, because they were cancelling stuff before Concord, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Like I said, the article was like they were reviewing the 12 back in November and only going to release 6. Well, I guess they've reviewed 2 of them and gone, right, you're gone.
I actually think the biggest problem for them was Helldivers, because they weren't expecting Helldivers to do very well. Because you remember, like, it was very underbaked in terms of the marketing for Helldivers. So when Helldivers came out, I think they got a bit of a false sense and were like, oh, well, Concord's going to be fine, so let's keep ploughing on with Concord. And then Concord came out, and it came to a shuddering halt, because obviously Helldivers has been an anomaly and it's done really well and still doing really well. But
didn't it sell more than like Spider-Man 2 or something crazy like that?
Yeah, something like that.
That's insane, isn't it?
It's a better game than Spider-Man 2. Sorry, coffee.
And I do like how. Right. Anyway, the next news. We'll keep on PlayStation because they've announced their Plus, Extra, and Premium games for January, which will be coming on January 21st. So on Extra, we've got God of War Ragnarok, Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, Atlas Fallen, Reign of Sand, SD Gundam Battle Alliance, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Anno Mutatium, Orcs Must Die Free, Citizen Sleeper, good timing I guess for that one, and Poker Club. Craig, will you be dabbling with God of War, I guess, out of these?
Yeah, that's probably the highlight, right? For me personally, I don't know when it will be, in all honesty, because we're in backlog season now, but that's going to come to a grinding halt very soon in February, I feel.
Going to crashing down.
Yeah, it's going to slow some momentum there, definitely. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to playing God of War Ragnarok eventually. God knows when that will be, right?
Did you ever play Sayonara Wild Hearts on anything, Craig?
No, I haven't done. It's one I've always wanted to. I've just never got to. I don't think it's particularly long, is it?
No, I can see liking it. I played it on. I thought Apple Arcade is where I played it.
I played it on PS4. I had it physical on PS4.
Nice.
I didn't bother going for the platinum, even though it was a very easy platinum. I played it. It was like 2 hours, 3 hours. It was fun.
Yeah, something like that.
You guys would like it. It's your kind of shit. But I was like, yeah, it's right.
No, I really like it.
It was physical for like £5 or something. So I was like, oh, why not? When I was in like a big physical phase.
What about you, Dave? Anything that you got your eye on here?
No, I mean I think my subscription is about to run out anyway. So that probably won't. There's nothing that's going to force a sort of renewal from me. I played God of War this time last year, and obviously I played Like a Dragon on Game Pass last year as well. Or the year before, sorry. So I think they were probably the big two that I would have played. It's a good month. I mean, God of War Ragnarok is a fantastic game, and I think Craig will love it. Absolutely love it. Are you going to go, because you didn't own it, did you, anymore? Are you going to go back and try and get that platinum now they've added Valhalla?
Well, I will go back to try out Valhalla, especially being like a roguelike. It's not something I would normally try that. The platinum, like, I'm missing that trophy. Last time I tried it, it was still bugged.
Maybe it's unbugged, Pengi. Maybe there's hope.
It could be. Maybe it's hope, because I'm not going to play like 20 hours of God of War just to get the one trophy. So I could still be stuck on 97% one trophy missing forever, but I have not played Valhalla. Thing. Similar with Atlas Fallen, Rain and Sand. I played Atlas Fallen near launch. I picked it up quite cheap though, like 25-30 quid after it came out. It was fine. It was a bit like Forspoken, but not as good as Forspoken. Which is a little bit damning, I guess, but they not really got the budget of like a Square Enix and that sort of thing. But they've done like a whole like not quite of like a Cyberpunk or a No Man's Sky, but did like this whole 2.0 thing on it, Atlas Fallen. So I don't know what that would be like going back to it, because obviously my save will be in the cloud or something somewhere, most probably. So that could be an interesting one to check out. So it's really those two. I think, like I said, Citizen Sleeper seems really good timing with the sequel coming. I think this month. Is it this month, Craig? Citizen Sleeper 2?
Yes, end of the month.
So that's good timing. And then on Premium, we've got Medieval 2, and I guess also good timing. Indiana Jones and Staff of Kings is on there as well from the PS2. So you can play Indiana Jones on PlayStation. That's what this is, isn't it, Dave?
Technically, yeah. So is this the one that was on the original Xbox, or was it the Wii one? There was loads.
PS2. It's PS2 and original. Okay. It might have been on Wii. It might be.
There was loads. There was like 3 or 4. They keep popping up on Steam, and I'm like, what? I don't remember any of these.
Yeah, this was the Wii one. It was the Wii and PS2, PSP, and DS one.
Ah, nice.
I guess it's very different on all 4 systems.
Yeah, you'd imagine so.
Yeah. But yeah, that is. Yeah, because there was the one on the original Xbox, which I think was exclusive, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know what that one was called. Yeah, I think Premium was pretty bad this month, to be honest. I'm not really bothered about either of these two games.
No, I mean, especially
the West,
there's so much Medieval on this as well, because they've put out the first game like 3 times, haven't they? So.
They did the PS1, the remake, and the PSP like remaster, and now the sequel, which I think people forget that game actually got a sequel.
It's a good game, but it's a PS2 PS2 game, Pengi. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, that's plus. Next news. I can't get this link to work, but I don't know if you watched the trailer for Dawnwalker, the new game from the director of Witcher 3, which they did like a 6-minute trailer, a bit of cinematic, a bit of gameplay, and it's going to show off more in the summer, which I guess is going to be a Jeff Keighley show.
I watched the trailer. It looks interesting. My big issue is I'm bored and don't really like vampires. I'm like,
yeah, but saying that there aren't that many games with vampires in.
I just love Redfall.
If you compare it to zombies, Dave.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, zombies is like a guaranteed no for me. I'm just like, no, I can't do this to myself. But yeah, it's a difficult one because I think I've finally got this link working, Pengi. Yeah, nice. So my issue with it is, and I know Craig's going to completely agree with me. You know, when you hear the phrase from people that worked on blah, and we'd hear it for like 20 games from like BioShock and 40 games from like Mass Effect. I'm like, just let me see the game, and then see what it reviews, and if they do a demo, play the demo, and then I'll make my own judge of it. But like. There's
I guess I think
it's
we know it's the director or something of Witcher 3. We know what he did at Witcher 3. It's not like I worked on Bioshock while I was the cleaner or something. You know, like Judas, we know it's from Ken Levine. You know, like we know it's from the director of Bioshock.
Yeah, and it is obviously Bandai Namco publishing.
So
it's not. So it won't be terrible. But again, like you said, there's a gameplay review in the summer, and I think that's when I will personally judge. But what about you, Craig?
Just to go back to Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings a second, boys.
Okay, okay, Craig.
I'm watching watching some gameplay now. God, video games have come a long way, haven't they?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Cool.
I think that's tank controls, isn't it? I think.
It looks like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
It looks like it.
Again, I vaguely remember these types of games.
I just played an Indiana Jones game. Yeah, it didn't quite look like this.
No.
But back to
Dawnwalker,
which is a very generic name, isn't it?
It does. When Penguins put this in, I thought it was an Elder Scrolls Online expansion. That was my default.
Because I said the wrong one earlier when we were talking about it in work. And what's the Final Fantasy 16 DLC called? Because isn't that like Dawnbreaker or something like that?
Yeah, that's Dawnbreaker. Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting confused with that. So definitely slightly generic in the naming department. A lot of confusion.
And there was Dawn Trail, which is the Final Fantasy 14 expansion. Yeah,
that was the MMO expansion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of a clusterfuck there already. I mean, it was just pure CGI, wasn't it?
They showed a bit of gameplay at the end.
Oh,
it looked CGI. The one I just watched was pure CGI, so I don't know if there's a different trailer.
There's it was on. I'm pretty sure it was in this link. Yeah, it was all like CGI with like the vampires attacking the village, and then they showed a little bit of like whoever the main character is like climbing on like some buildings and stuff and swooping down. It looked very Witcher.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult because I think if you're a video game series like The Witcher, perfect example here, which also just got a CGI trailer, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain level of hype with that there because people have a semblance of what they're getting, right? People are already picturing in their head Witcher 3, looking prettier, playing a series now, yeah, right. Whereas with this, you're like, oh, okay, it was a pretty CGI trailer. But when you're like a new studio with a new IP, you're like, well, that doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not, it's a vibe, but it's hard to get excited about it, right? So I think, the proof will be in the pudding whenever they do this gameplay reveal, and hopefully that is something that we can all get excited about. Because another Western RPG from The Witcher, dude, sounds pretty good to me. But yeah, it's hard to get particularly like blown away or excited when we don't really know what we're seeing. I mean, the CGI is very good, so I imagine that was a very expensive trailer to make.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes you think it must have had quite a lot of financial backing behind it, right?
You would think.
That might give you some hope straight away. But yeah, we'll wait and see, and hopefully it looks good when they show it properly.
Absolutely.
Next news, actually, I've got several ones. TikTok's been not TikTok. Well, TikTok's been banned, but Marvel Snap has also been removed in the United States.
TikTok's actually already back, Pengi. So I'd imagine Snap is probably also already back.
There you go. I was going to say Trump has put your Marvel Snap day.
It's a wild. One of my American friends sent me the message that the TikTok thing, and it is wild. Like it's like President Trump is looking into this. It's insane. The country is insane.
Yeah, and that will start from tomorrow. So last news then is Astrobot. They put out a picture of the PS5 in like cartoon and had like it open the top and you can see all the little bots and stuff. And there was bots in there that aren't in the game. And there was a PlayStation tournament as well. And they had a new speedrun level that used to slow down time power up as well. There's no word when this level's coming and stuff, but that level did have one of the new bots in it as well. So yeah, more Astrobot is coming soon. So that's good news, isn't it, Craig? More Astrobot.
Yes, definitely. Just keep it coming, boys. Keep it slowly coming every now and again. Just make me put the disc back in, load it up, and go, God, this game's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all I need. Stay every now and again. Pop something out. I'm sure I'll consume any content they make at this point. I'm with Pengi. I hope at some point they do a proper DLC, big one, even if that means paying for it. Whatever, I'm probably there. But yeah, until then, if they keep going little things like this, I'm very excited, and I'm sure I can beat Pengi at the speedrunning once again, right?
Yes, more than likely. More than likely. And that is the news.
Well, it's almost the news, Pengi, because it's time for our
Yes.
topic of the show. So, boys and girls, there was a video this week, which you will now see on the screen, dear viewers. Nintendo finally did it, Craigo. As we predicted, they decided to just drop a trailer at no notice at all.
No notice.
No notice. Pengi, you watched this trailer, didn't you?
I did watch this trailer.
So, if you could just go through your initial thoughts of the Switch 2. Basically, all they announced was that the Switch 2 is real, more news in April, and they showed some Mario Kart. But, Pengi, what do you think?
It looks like, from the looks of it, like, I don't want to say more grown up, but like that's what it like with all black and stuff. I get a bit of like Steam Deck vibes from it, and that, you know, it having a bigger screen that's like rumored to be like 8 inches or something like that. It's like, but then that also might make some sense because like the Switch is what, 8 years old now. So I guess if you were like 10 when you got your Switch, you're now 18. You know, maybe you want a console that isn't bright blue and red. You want like this sleek black colored Switch, for instance.
Yeah, definitely. Craig, what did you think of the initial hardware reveal?
Well, I mean, it's because obviously it was like a 2-minute video, right? And a lot of it we've almost kind of seen so much from the leaks of from these third-party manufacturing companies, right? And it was very much like, oh yeah, they were right. And it was like, well, we knew they were going to, because why would all these like massive companies have all these mock-ups, essentially, right? It looks like a bigger Switch, and it's probably going to be a more powerful, bigger Switch, which is what I imagine if you were to go around and ask all your Switch users what they wanted from the next Nintendo console, I suspect they would all say, we want a bigger, more powerful Switch, right? So it makes sense to give the people what they want, right?
Yeah.
If you're Nintendo, don't do something crazy right now. Don't go mental, which they obviously, by the sounds that they have done in the past. Just give the people a better version of what they already have. It looks like there's some sort of mouse function on the Joy-Cons, right? And it looks like the Joy-Cons have some sort of, is it the magnetic stuff around the
yeah, instead of like
Joy-Pads?
sliding down now, you like pop them in and they magnetic to put them in.
Yeah,
so
in.
Again, that's purely the leak as well, so we don't know for sure if that's what it said.
Again, listening to people, they tend to moan about the durability of the Joy-Cons, right? So hopefully that looks like something they've addressed.
Yeah,
a lot of it just looks like they've kind of given the people what they want, which is good.
Yeah, and yes, we'll move on to my 2 pence, I suppose, what the video shows again. So yeah, I kind of agree with you both. I think it looks more adult and more like a progression of the Switch. And as we've said, their last attempt was the Wii U, and that didn't work. So I think addressing the things that people wanted to have fixed is a good start. Like having the USB on the top. Like they appear to be using the more magnetic joystick setup as opposed to the mechanical one, which is less prone to drift, which is good. That's what we want, right? Bigger buttons, right? So that's cool. But yeah, from a purely hardware perspective, I really liked it. I think it's exactly what, as the last remaining Nintendo player amongst us, it's what I would want from a new Switch. And the progression from the Switch, for me now, the Switch isn't, its main audience for me isn't the home console experience, it's the handheld experience, and this looks like a better handheld, like the 3DS from the DS, right? So I'm quite pleased from a hardware perspective. I think it looks what I want. Obviously we don't know the price. I think that's the most important thing, and then obviously video games. But I'm pretty confident.
Imagine the screen as well would be quite a.
I'm not
thing,
fussed
right?
on the OLEDs, because the only console that's ever launched with an OLED was the Vita, and that was another one of the things that just cost too much.
Yeah, I imagine that's why it's not got the OLED, to keep the cost down.
Yeah. And again, like, I'm happy if it's got a good LCD. I'm happy for a good LCD screen.
Yeah, because like the Portal's got an LCD screen, and it's like
it looks
good,
really good. Yeah, definitely.
I say that
Looking
like,
as well,
they do a Portal OLED. I'm like, oh, this looks way better or something.
Yeah, the Joy-Cons look like the bumper buttons look a lot more like buttons now as before. I just felt that they were like these weird little like flappy nonsense panel things, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully that's an improvement, because that was one of the things I think we all felt about the core Switch, right? Did we all end up buying the third party split pad Pro things?
Yes.
The hoary ones,
yeah.
It would be nice if the Joy-Cons are more of like a viable, actually comfortable to use, right, on this one. Because you'd think if they're bigger, it will be, right?
Yeah, and as obviously me and Pengi have both had Steam Decks, and obviously you've got your Portal, Craig. I think the bigger the better, right? The more comfort is, I think, key to these consoles, because it was probably my biggest complaint about the Switch, especially early on, as I find its natural setup is so uncomfortable.
Yeah, the normal Joy-Cons that came with it are horrible to use. Handheld, definitely.
And the only game we saw, boys, was a very small glimpse of Mario Kart 9, which obviously Craig is celebrating because he gambled and he took it for fantasy, and that might be a shrewd move, Pengi.
Oh, did we see his other one? He's also gone for 3D.
Yeah,
Mario.
I did see he's got a bit of
the trophy.
He's got an absolute nose.
I cannot. I'm sorry to derail this. I cannot believe you boys have let me do that.
Well, it's not announced, is it? Like the Mario again. Like I've told you, my weakness in this type of year is I will not go for something that's not announced, because it's too big a risk. These competitions are won on such fine margins. If there isn't a Mario game at that April show, you're getting counterpicked the second the show ends, and then that's a game you don't get any points. But if it pays off for you, you've got your big dick. So
people seem confident, don't they? There.
I think you're probably right.
I feel pretty good,
because I think Nate the Hate is basically anything that man has now said is now true, right? So everyone's assuming it's June 3rd, it's coming out, and everyone's assuming that like whatever, like the price is what he said it was. But yeah, sorry boys, Mario Kart.
Back to Mario Kart.
How are we feeling, Pengi?
Yeah, from the trailer and the info that we have got with the 24, racers on the track, which is in the video. You can spot 24 racers and that. I think that's pretty interesting. Like, they all look like they're using standard carts and stuff, and so it's like, is they going back to basics, but gonna have 24 racers, and that's gonna be like the gimmick for this Mario Kart game, and then like online, like, oh yeah, 24 players online would be really cool. Then I think like the power ups, if you're in like 24th place, like what sort of if you're in 12th or whatever on Mario Kart already, you get like the 8 power up thing and stuff like that. Is like, is there going to be power ups that get you back, even if you're like 17th or 18th? You're really far behind, because it is Mario Kart and wild things can happen. But making up from 18th to 1st is a bit different, going from like 7th to 1st.
Yeah, and also because obviously there was no items in the trailer. There was a Wonder Seed in the long shot with the Yoshi's, the Yoshi restaurant, and that, to me, I'm not sure that was the same track as the first track. Again, it's all a bit unknown. There's lots of things like people think it could be like a single player, like hub area, like open world thing, and all that stuff. So I think it's interesting. Like I said, I've been saying on the forum, I wouldn't be against a bit of a series reset of like 24 completely new tracks, like a whole new set of carts, a whole new set of like character designs and levels and all that kind of stuff, and just have a bit of a fresh start again. I think Mario Kart 8 and I fear this will be the same for Smash Bros. It's like I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is such a collection of the greatest hits of Mario Kart that I think you do need to go in a new direction, a little bit. And again, like it's gonna sell well, right? Unless it's broken, it's Mario Kart. But yeah, for me, like, and we've talked about on the show, and I've said this multiple times, Mario Kart is the game that gets me in. So if I can afford to buy one when it comes out, and it comes out with Mario Kart, I will be buying it. I'll be buying a second controller so my partner can play with me, and I'm happy. You know?
Yes. Obviously the Joy-Con has got 3 shoulder buttons now. He's got that weird one at the back. Do you think, obviously, when it's in mouse mode, that's going to be easy to press like a mouse button? But do you think in like regular games that just acts as like right trigger or whatever it is on Switch, or is it a third button that you can map or something? You know, like the Edge has got the back pedals and stuff like that. Because it'd be like weird if, like, I don't know, Elden Ring comes to this and it's like, oh yeah, we've got a extra button that Xbox and PlayStation doesn't have on the Switch 2.
I don't know. I know that seems a bit of a cop out, but until we know exactly what all of this functionality is, I think
because there's also the C button that hasn't got a C on it.
Yeah, I think it's like, obviously because of the leaks, I think people are thinking more than they normally would. But I think at this point it is. I think unfortunately we have to wait until something gets shown or announced. Yeah, I don't know. Is the honest answer, because obviously, like, the Steam Deck has 4 extra buttons on the back, and most controllers, like you said, have extra buttons, and the ROG Ally does, and bloody blah. So I don't really know.
No. And then obviously it's got the different kickstand as well compared to the Switch. It's closer to the OLED stand, but it is missing, like, that's just a big flat bit. Well, this obviously isn't. Stand's different as well. I'm trying to think of any other differences. And the dock's more rounded, I guess, and it sticks out a bit as well. The Switch at the top. And was it Jeff Grubb or someone was like saying that, like, it may display stuff when it's docked?
Yeah,
like
people were like time and like alarms. Again, you've got to be careful with that because you don't want to have screen burn-in, right? But you could potentially have that if you wanted it to.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's really hard, because I've just watched the same 15 seconds of the Mario Kart reveal over and over again whilst YouTube were talking, and it's so hard to make any judgment off such little information, because I'm watching it now and this sounds worse than I intended to sound. But if you were to say to me, oh, that's a map pack video from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's the new map, is it, for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? But it's so hard just to see, like, what's going to be difficult, what's going to be different, and what's going to be like that. Oh, now we've got the new Switch. We're doing this just from this, like, 15 seconds, right?
Yeah,
I guess that kind of sets up April pretty nicely, right?
Yeah, and I think that's key. It's difficult with Mario Kart as well, because that's obviously, like, you haven't played 200 hours of Mario Kart Deluxe. Whereas, like, I look at that and every character's got a different model, every kart's completely different. Like, the game has different physics. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like say someone that has never played COD. If I showed them Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 6, they'd be like, "Oh, cool, it's just COD," right? But it's again, if I showed them 15 seconds of it on a non 4K video, that's like, I get you. But yeah, I think April was key. One last question for you, Pengi. Sorry, okay. Craig. I've derailed you. Go on, mate.
No, you carry on, because I'm going to derail it even further in a second.
I was just going to say, do we think there's going to be a Switch 1 Nintendo Direct before April? Because that's a long time without any announcements.
So Jeff and Mike are adamant that we're getting one in February before April.
Would agree.
Yeah, they are adamant that is what's happening. That there's going to be another.
Well, there'll be Nintendo a Pokemon Direct in February, because Pokemon Day then. So it'd be at least.
Yeah, but they seem to think there's definitely a Nintendo one, which is where they talk about stuff that's, I guess, not your launch games, maybe stuff that's coming out on the Switch and then will also be playable on the Switch too. Maybe your Metroid Primes and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe like Twilight Princess or Wind Waker HD that's still coming to Switch and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for them because they're gonna have to. I'm guessing they will be like, look, this is not Switch 2, guys. This is Switch games up until the release of the Switch 2, let's say, and still everyone is gonna be like, oh, but they might show all the Switch 2 games. You're like, no, they specifically said the date that they're showing that, but you know what people are like, right? Where I was going to derail it was to April. What do we think we're seeing, boys? Get mental. What's happening?
What, in April?
Yeah, what they're showing? Because I'll start a little bit. I think if you're an indie studio or something like that right now, you are trying to make sure you do everything you can to get your game
Silk
out on
Song's going to be
launch.
there. That's where Silk Song's being.
This is what I'm saying. Like, if you are that sort of studio, you want to make sure your game comes out at the launch of the Switch 2, right? Because that is going to be such a big moment. Launches for consoles tend to be a bit slower than everyone thinks they're going to be as well in terms of games, right? So if you're like a Hollow Knight Silk Song, if you're Mina the Hollower, if you're an Earthblade, I feel like this is where you really like, right, we need to try and be there. This is our time. You want to be that like big indie around the launch of a console, right?
Well, to sort of derail this even more, there is already some indies announced for the Switch 2 now.
Right. Okay.
So we've got Ruffy and the Riverside, which is now being talked about coming to Switch 2. Yuka Replay Lee.
Hell yeah!
They said. So I remember when they first said it. On Your Tail tweeted saying it's coming to Switch 2, and they also said it's coming in 4K. So that's the first official announcement that the Switch is 4K, at least docked. So that's that. Beastario, never heard of that, but apparently they've updated their Kickstarter and changed it to Switch 2. Berserk Boy and My Tamer Evershine. So yeah, we've got some games now announced. Phil, you can replay Glee and On Your Tail. And Silk Song, Team Cherry have been teasing things as well, and I think that's going to be a Switch 2 launch title now.
You surely think so, right?
That's why we've not seen Silk Song all these years, because they've just been waiting.
They've been waiting for Nintendo.
Yeah,
like,
they've been waiting for Nintendo.
Please, guys, the game's fucking ready. Just please let us release it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
And then, like, first party wise from them, how confident are we in 3D Mario at this point, boys?
I'm pretty confident.
I'm not that confident, not for this year.
Really? Okay.
It depends. So, why I think February's so key, because what we're doing with Metroid and what we're doing with Pokemon. So, are they going to be both? Are they going to be one? Are they going to be what? Right. So, if
I think they're both. I think they come out on the Switch, but you can play them on the Switch too as well.
Pokemon is not, because I thought we were under the impression that Pokemon was start of the year, Pengi. Like a summer start of the year game. If that turns out to be a late year game, they're launching with Mario Kart, then okay, I feel like Nintendo will probably have Metroid Prime and Mario Kart as the launch titles, because you'll sell more Metroid pairing it with Mario Kart. You'll sell Mario Kart with every single console, right? That I'm pretty sure. They want to sell 20 million consoles. That's another thing that's been leaked or said. They've made 20 million of them for the first year. So it's like, if we're assuming it comes out in June, Craigo, maybe. It's a maybe. It depends entirely on what they want to do, because like, I don't think it'll be a launch title, because I don't think you can have Mario Kart and a 3D Mario. I think that's too much Mario.
I think
it'll be the holiday game.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That was my question about Pokemon, because if they're not going to do
I think Pokemon's soon. I think that comes out on the Switch.
I hope so, because it'll be. I mean, it's going to be a real tough year for me, because what the hell am I going to vote Game of the Year, Kringy? We're getting 2 Football Managers this year. We're getting Mario Kart. We're getting potentially a Pokemon, at least one Pokemon game, if not, what's stopped them doing a Black and White remake, Pengi? What's to stop them doing it? But yeah, I think it's wild, because I think, again, like, I know that Craig isn't as Nintendo-y as I am, and I know that Pengi's on his bit of his downward trial with Nintendo. I'm very excited, because I feel like I'm going to get 5 or 6 really good Nintendo games this year. And probably some absolute hilarious ports as well, but they'll be on the Switch, right? Like they did with the 3DS, Pengi, if you remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, Craig, I don't know. I feel like you'll get some follow-up games. I think you could get another Faster MX game. I feel like you could get Snipper Clips 2. I know that sounds really weird because Snipper Clips 1 was literally a launch title, but I feel
Didn't
like you
they do a
get...
Snipper Clips too?
I don't think they did. They did like an enhanced one, didn't they?
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
That they did.
Yeah.
They did a physical release for. I don't.
There'll be
think...
some weird Nintendo games, won't there? They
Yeah.
always have some odd, really odd.
Yeah, 'cause they had, like,
they've got
arms.
these. Yeah, they've got this mouse function. So there's going to be some weird ass game which is like really locks in and focuses on
I
that.
feel like
right?
Mario, one of the, like a maker game would be huge if they're going to push the mouse thing. If they do like a Mario
It
Maker,
would also
3
kind
or...
of work for Pikmin, wouldn't it? Because you could click on your Pikmin
Yeah.
and use them on your mouse and then thing.
It's,
but yeah,
it's difficult because they can't. If that indeed is a mouse feature, right, and it's what we think it is, they can't make too many first-party games relying on it because half of the users are playing it in handheld. So unless it's touchscreen as well, which would bring, like, as you know what I mean, like, so if there's the same kind of functionality as a touchscreen, it would make me think of like a brain training or something like that. But I don't know. It's quite an exciting time, Chris. I feel like the last sort of 18 months of Nintendo games on Switch have been very, not reined in because I think they've still been high quality, but there've been lots of ports, lots of like obvious
ports
sequels
and remakes, isn't it?
Yeah. So those studios have been making something. Like, I know we'll see Splatoon 4. I'm pretty certain, and this, I don't know, we'll do predictions closer, but I would lock in some form of Monster Hunter port pretty early. If maybe even launch day. Because when's that come out? February? So if it comes out in June, I mean, I could see a Monster Hunter Wild Switch edition.
Well, imagine how that's going to run.
Well, it depends what the power is, right? Because Rise runs at 30, and that's okay. Like, if it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's difficult because we don't know anything. We don't know how powerful this. It could be more powerful than the Steam Deck, right?
Yeah.
We probably should be, but we just don't know. So that's the thing. Like, we don't Mario. Like, I think what you were trying to say as well, which is a good point. Like, Mario Kart isn't really an indicator of power because it's an art style, right? Like, it's not like it was. If it was running Cyberpunk,
well, I guess
you'd be like,
kind of
aha!
is if they go it. Maybe the indicator is like, on the Switch we could only have 12 players. Now we can have 24 players.
Yeah,
because of all
definitely.
the power we've got. Maybe that's the indicator.
The online would
power.
excite me for that, Pengi. 24-player online sounds chaotic, and I love it. But yeah, I mean, we will have to talk about the Switch 2 more anyway.
Yeah,
We're gonna
but
hear more about
games and stuff. I think Nintendo, like you said, is a weird year. Like, January is Donkey Kong, February's nothing, March is Xenoblade, April they're showing the Switch 2, and then let's say it comes out May, you got nothing then, unless Metroid's May or I don't know, Pokemon's May or something like that, and then June, if you go all the rumors, is when the Switch 2 comes out. So then you got what's that, 7 months of like, obviously, I guess they'll look to the financial year to the end of March, but if we go in calendar year to the end, it's 7 months. You launch with Mario Kart. I could see 3D Mario being the big November game. It's just, do they have a game, 7 games, a game a month? Because that was the thing with the Switch One at launch. Like, I found it disappointing because obviously I didn't like Breath of the Wild. I already played Mario Kart 8, but you did have like Splatoon, ARMS, Snipper Clips,
Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, you had like Mario Odyssey. That was good, but you had a game of month.
Yeah,
which I think really helped the Switch launch. You had like a big game every month for that console. I was like, are they going to do the same? This is why you've had 18 months of ports, pretty much. So it's like, we're getting a big Nintendo game every month. Here's the Fire Emblem. The Wars game, that's Fire Emblem, that's been rumored to be a remake done for like ages. Like, here's the Fire Emblem remake. Here's 3D Mario. Here's Splatoon 4 and stuff. We get it. But then if they have a game of month this year, it's like, what comes out next year? Because you don't have the Wii U ports to rely on anymore. That's the other thing. Like, with the Switch, you had all the Wii U ports. Now you don't have them.
Yeah, and obviously it's backwards compatible as well, which we haven't mentioned. Yeah, it's backwards compatible. So
I still think Breath of the Wild 4K happens.
Yeah, I think so, and I think you'll also get like obvious ports. So I think you'll get Ring Fit 2, so they can release a new ring because you can't use the Switch 2 Joy-Cons don't slide onto stuff, right? So and Ring Fit sold how many millions of copies, and then like the other really obvious one, when are we getting Animal Crossing? So
Yeah.
they sold like 40 million, 60 million, something stupid copies.
Yeah.
It's like you'll get Animal Crossing. You will get Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem is a good bet for the first 6 months because they held on to Engage for a long time.
Yeah.
I think it was, didn't they work out? It was like 18 months or something. They held Engage finished before like a slot opened up. So like that's been like 4 or 5 years of development, and yeah, I don't know. I quite like.
That's like one of the big ones for me. Fire Emblem.
Yeah,
Xenoblade.
Go on. Bengals?
I'm here.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to say something.
No.
Yeah, I think you'll definitely get Fire Emblem this year. Definitely, 100%. And I think you'll get Xenoblade 4 announced because that studio doesn't stop as well. So I think it's quite exciting because I think it's just a great unknown with Nintendo because we've had quite a random, like you said, 18 months of ports or strange games like Princess Peach Showtime and NES World Championships. That I think it's actually quite an interesting because we don't really know what's coming, and I think that's quite exciting. Because I feel the same about Xbox. I think Xbox has got a really good lineup of what we know.
Oh yeah, Xbox
and
has got
then
really good.
the stuff we don't know is also quite exciting. Whereas obviously PlayStation, like we talked about earlier, because of all the live service stuff, we don't know, but it's not as much. Like we know that it's Wolverine, but like other than that, and Intergalactic, sorry, but we're kind of like, oh okay, like yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. We will end our Switch chat there because we have to do some sort of like big thing for April. We'll do some sort of betting thing, right? Because that's fun. But the last question, we'll do this question every time there's a Nintendo thing, okay? Craig, are you going to buy the Switch 2 as of right now?
As of right now, probably not. I wouldn't say I'm like completely like I've got no interest at all. It's just it is difficult because the Switch 1, I kind of like the hardware of it and the tech of like the handheldiness of it.
Yeah.
But I did feel a little bit disappointed by the games, and I do always, Nintendo do tend to games tend to be pretty similar, right? I tend to kind of add stuff to what they've already got, essentially. That does always kind of worry me a bit. Then there is always the fact that do I really need a third console in my life? I mean, I was someone who played effectively with one for a long, long time, right? And was very happy. Now I have two, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm happy with that. Do I have the time for a third one? If I do get a third one, is it really going to compete with the others? Let's say, especially when this year is so good already for like game announcements.
Yeah.
But like, let's say they announce we get to April, and they announce 3D Mario. Am I going to be more excited for 3D Mario than for like GTA or Doom or The Outer Worlds or Ghost of whatever the hell it is or Monster Hunter? And it's like, well, probably not. And then it's like, kind of, if it's not competing with those games, for me personally, is it going to get played? But yeah, I wouldn't say it's completely out of the realm of possibility. Yes. But yeah, but we'll see in April, I guess. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard, especially with this year being so good. If this year was like a bleak, barren wasteland, Dave, nothing was coming out, and then they got to April and they showed us this amazing direct with all these awesome-looking games, and I was like, oh, I can afford a Switch too. That's fine, right? And I might play it a bit. You'd be like, oh, okay, that's fine. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard with so much good stuff coming out.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to get a year of barren ever again. If I'm honest.
No, definitely not. Unless everyone makes a Sony mistake and goes all in on.
Yeah, I think Sony's probably showing people not to do that. If I'm honest.
Yeah.
Bless them. Pengi, what about you?
I'd see in April, isn't it? See what games are coming for it. I feel like in between the both of you. Like Mario Kart, I do like, but I feel like I would buy it, do the cups, we're gonna play multiplayer a couple of times, and that'll be it, done. I was like, do I need to rush out and play Mario Kart? Don't know. 3D Mario's good, sort of thing, but that's 2 games and stuff like that. And like I said, so it's like the series like Fire Emblem, Xenoblade. Like, could we see a Golden Sun come back? I think, and like the Switch, when it was the year of Switch that lasted like 2 years, you had things like Monster Hunter Rise, which was only on Switch at the time, things like that, and like Live Alive and Triangle Strategy, so those sort of games. Weirdly, JRPGs, which there's plenty of them on PlayStation, Xbox gets them, PC gets them, sort of thing. Yeah. Which Nintendo do JRPGs. Like I said, Fire Emblem Xenoblade. They did Golden Sun back in the day.
I mean,
Like a new
pretty
Pokemon,
big.
obviously the big one. Paper Mario, sort of thing. Yeah, but I don't really care as much as like Zelda anymore. Like you've just discussed it, like Final Fantasy and like that sort of thing. I feel exactly the same with Zelda now. Like, yeah, if they showed a brand new 3D Zelda, which is unlikely because Tears of the Kingdom was thing, but then Ocarina of Time remake or something would get me in there because I like that type of Zelda. So who knows? Who knows? And then price, if it's like 400 quid and then 70 quid for Mario Kart and 60 quid for the Pro controller and stuff, that's a few pennies.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's.
What about you, Davey?
It's a day one. Yeah, of course it is. It's one of those, like I said, unless it's obscenely expensive and I can't afford it. I will always play and finish Pokemon. Mario Kart 8 has been my most played game on the last 2 generations. I like Fire Emblem. Right? I didn't quote unquote didn't like Free Houses to put 35 hours in though, didn't I, Pengi?
Yeah.
I don't mind the new direction of Zelda. I've never been that big of a Zelda guy anyway. Love 3D Mario, always finish them. Love 2D Mario, always finish them. For me, Nintendo makes the best first party games by a country mile. I know people don't agree. That's just how I feel. I would pick and finish a Nintendo Kirby game over any Naughty Dog game that's been released ever. It's just how I feel. So for me personally, like, if Nintendo's direction is, hey, we know what we're doing now with this hybrid system. Our development teams for handheld and home console are used to working together now. This isn't a new thing. We're going to be putting out 8 to 12 games every single year of every flavor that we've got. Like if you want to play Mario Party, we got Mario Party. You want to play Mario Golf, we got Mario Golf. You want to play Pokemon, we got Pokemon. You want to play MEO, we've got MEO. Like just a whole range of games of different varieties. That look better.
Yeah, I
than
don't know
they've
if
ever
they can
done,
do that. Like, I think with the Switch they had all those remasters and like, this month we're putting out. I'm trying to think of something. Bayonetta 2, and it's like, okay, cool. And I'm like, well, they can't do that now. You've already done it once.
It's true.
You could obviously have Bayonetta. You could obviously have Bayonetta 4.
Yeah.
That's another one on the list. I forgot they have like the Bayonetta IP now.
It's kind of, again, it's to be a devil's advocate. It's like people made those games, Pengi, so those people can still make other games. Like even if they make smaller games, like I'd be happy to play. When Nintendo was weird and they used to make like Pool Blocks as a download only or Dylan. Like I'd play those games. Like it's one of those things. It's when you buy a Nintendo console. I can't remember. There was a video I watched this years ago. I can't remember who it said. They basically say when you buy a Nintendo console, you sign a contract, and that contract is that you're going to get Mario Kart, Smash Bros, Zelda, 3D Mario, and Pokemon. That's like the core, right? You always get them on a Nintendo console, and then you get like the other flavors around. You might get a Pikmin, you might get an F-Zero, you might get an Animal Crossing, you might get Fire Emblem, you might get a I don't even know what other franchises there are. Pengi, you're gonna have to help me out here. Earthbound, you might get Xenoblade. Like, right? So like, I'll take those 6 games. It's like Xbox used to be. It used to be buy an Xbox, you know you're getting Gears, Halo, and Forza, right? And you that's enough for you to buy the console because you know you're gonna get it. And then when you get more than that, when you get Quantum Break, and when you get Sunset Overdrive, you're like, oh, wicked. This is in addition to me getting my Halo, my Gears, and my Forza, right? Mm-hmm. And I think Nintendo still has that. PlayStation's a funny one because I think they are more studio-based than they are specific franchise-based now. Like, I don't think you're going to get... It's not a guarantee you're going to get The Last of Us free because you haven't got a new Last of Us on PS5. You've had 2 remasters.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you haven't had a new Uncharted. You've had a remaster, right? So it's kind of like... And again, we've talked about the live service things. I'm not going to bash on Sony just for the sake of upping anyone else. That's not what I mean. But yeah, again, from what we've seen so far, that's enough for me because it's Mario Kart. But like, I completely agree that we need to see more, and it needs to not be £600. It needs to not be like the only game is Mario Kart this year, because me and Pengi bought Wii U's. You remember they had 35 games at launch, and then they had nothing for months. And they couldn't remaster games, Pengi, because they didn't have a Wii U before the Wii U, did they? They didn't remaster Wii games, so like, it's a valid concern. But yeah,
I think they need to have the Right, this is what we couldn't do on the Switch. Like, we need to have. I always think back to the Assassin's Creed Black Flag moment. Right, I remember when Assassin's Creed Black Flag was first shown on like Xbox One, PS4 gen, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was such a clear right. You couldn't do this on last gen.
It came out on 360.
Yeah, it was absolutely horrific, wasn't it? Yeah. It was horrendous.
Had less rain and half the frame rate.
Yeah. So it was that right. This is our first party games, and we can do this now. We couldn't do this before.
I think that's
what we need, as opposed to just being like, oh, we're going to show the games. Like you've said, the Nintendo games that you always get. We almost want this is Kirby. We couldn't do this Kirby before.
Yeah, and I think
you need the Switch 2 for.
Yeah, I think the Switch did that though, because I think Kirby in the Forgotten World was a game they've never made before, like in the Kirby world, right? And I think Fire Emblem Three Houses was as well, for Fire Emblem being like open world. So I get what you mean, but they need to do it again for Switch 2. Like,
yeah, so I mean, there needs to be right. We couldn't do this for Kirby and the Forgotten Land 2. We couldn't do this on the Switch one because it didn't have this. It wasn't, Whereas now we've got this new tech and we can do this, and we can be more ambitious and all of that sort of jazz, right?
Yeah, I think Zelda will be that game. And I think I would love it to be F-Zero, Craig. I don't think it will be. I'd love a crazy high def, like insane.
Surely all the games need to be that though, right?
Well, maybe, but
Mario Kart needs to be that, like.
Maybe, but I don't.
Otherwise, it's like, what's the point? It could just be Switch 1.
What I don't want Nintendo to do is to become Sony and Xbox. That's my worry. I don't want them to be like, oh, it has to be RTX, fucking DLSS, because it looks better, so it's better. Like, I don't want that. That's not something I want. Like, I want it to be like.
Yeah, I don't just mean looks. I mean features.
No. Like, that's what I was like with Mario Kart. Like, maybe 24 players is the thing. It's do 24, we can now do 20.
Yeah, it's like okay,
because the Switch 2's got a better online modes. You can do more stuff with the online. Maybe there's ranked or something like that.
And Splatoon is 4 versus 4. Maybe in Splatoon 4 it's 4 teams for 4 in one go or something, and that's why it's Splatoon 4 or something. So now 16 squidlings.
I don't think that's going to be for every Nintendo game, but because I feel like they want to have more innovation. So like in the trailer they've got the Wonder Seed, and in Mario Wonder, because I don't think either of you played Mario Wonder. Did you play it, Pengi?
I did, yeah.
So basically, when you get the Wonder Seed, Craig, in Mario Wonder, it changes the level completely, it goes all trippy and changes it, and that's in the trailer. So if you run over that and then the whole level changes, and it's like you're driving upside down or something, and it's or you will turn into jelly. That's interesting. And something they couldn't do before. And it's unique, kind of like Split Second is the only game I can think of, or the Levolutions in Battlefield 4, every pre-release PlayStation 4 preview on it, fucking battle evolutions, the bloody skyscraper falls down. That's the stuff I think they will do, and I hope they do. If they just the power thing and more players, I don't want that didn't work for COD, if you remember, on Ghosts. It didn't work when we did that change, but we just don't know because it's speculation. So we're going to leave speculation station, Craig, and go to the next stop on the Save Top 3 Express. And that is to what we bought and what we played. And we're going to start with Mr. Craig. Because me and Pengi use this form, I have no idea what Craig's bought and played this week. So, Craig, what have you bought and played this week?
So in terms of bought, the only thing is hardware, boys.
Huge.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that's
Switch,
a new headset.
OLED. Oh, no. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
We've only bought new headsets in the last few weeks.
Finally bought a new headset for the PlayStation because the setup I was using was just silly. It's just ridiculous. I kind of, the last It Takes Two session me and Dave had was I was like, why am I still doing this?
It just sounds like you're in a train station really far away.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what's he saying?
Why am I still using the USB mic on the floor? my trusted HyperX Cloud or whatever it is I've had I reckon over 10 years at this point. I've got to let it go, and I boys, we've got to let it go. Especially as we playing slightly more multiplayer games on PlayStation at the moment, right? And Monster Hunter maybe coming, and Split Fiction, and whatever else. If we all end up playing that Control game thing, right? That's coming to Plus, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? I need to not be still doing this silly, like, weird setup I had going on. So I bought and I need to look at the box, a SteelSeries Nova 5P, which I looked on all the tech websites and that, and this is one that they all recommended for PlayStation. It's slightly weird because it's got like multiple SKUs. It has PlayStation SKU, it has a PC SKU, it has an Xbox SKU.
Right.
The Xbox one works on everything, weirdly, and the PlayStation one I think only works on PlayStation and PC. I ideally would go to the Xbox one, but the PlayStation one was the only one that was on offer on Amazon. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna get the PlayStation one because I already have a headset which works for my Xbox, so I don't need to worry too much about that.
It would work. You think you just plug it in the headphone jack, wouldn't you? And it would just work.
Yeah, maybe it will. Maybe it's not Bluetooth or something like that. But yeah. So yeah, I've got it in white again. That was the only color that was in the offer. Ideally, I probably would have got it in black if I had the choice, but white I guess matches the console, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Sound and like setup and all that. Very impressed with it. Very nice headset. Very comfortable. I set up the 3D audio straight away on the PlayStation with it. Did that weird test that you do where it's like playing noises from either side. You're like, what side is it coming from? You're like, oh, you're pointing and it does the like, oh, this is like a noise going around you. What direction is the noise going around you? I'm kind of guessing at this point, to answer you.
Yeah, I found that. I just left it to the default and not made me personally because I'm just guessing where this is coming from. And I'm going to get it totally wrong. And it's going to sound completely weird. So I'm just going to use it to the default 3D audio.
Yeah, it's a bit odd that the way it does it. But yeah, I've been using it on the PlayStation all week. It sounds brilliant. Yeah, like I said, very comfortable. It does seem to have. I haven't used it in party chat yet, but I did set up and was playing with the mic, and it does seem to have like very good quality and like quite loud mic monitoring, which I really like a headset to have. I like to be able to hear myself talk being played back through my ears. It's something that all the old Turtle Beaches used to have on the Xbox 360, and then kind of headsets just seem to like do less and less. So I'm kind of looking forward.
Old man shaking his fists at Cloud there from Craig H.
Yeah, I really like to be able to hear myself when I like play back through my ears when I'm talking. I find it really helps. So yeah, I'm looking forward to actually being able to hear myself when we're playing It Takes Two. My only real gripes with it is the app on Android for it is not working at the moment, which is weird.
Nice.
Yeah. But I was setting it up and I said it's not connecting to the app. I was like the headset is connecting to my phone Bluetooth. That's fine. I can listen to Spotify for it. It's definitely there. It's connected. But then when you go on the app, it's like it just would not. It's just like it won't connect at all. So I did a little bit of googling and yeah, it's a problem with the app. I think it has been for a month or two at this point. Just for Android, for iPhone, it works perfectly fine, apparently, for those sickos of iPhones. But yeah, hopefully SteelSeries could fix that. It'd be good. Because apparently there is more settings you can play around with on the app. You can change the mic monitoring, do all sorts of like pre-built settings and that. So it'd be quite nice to actually get that up and running and have a little play with that. So I mean, there was an update for the app the other day. I haven't tried going back in and see if it's fixed it, but yeah, it'd be good if they could fix that. And then the only other issue I've kind of had is the little dongle that you put in the PlayStation to like connect the headset to.
Mm-hmm.
It's very wide, and it currently covers the USB port at the front. which is a bit annoying. But I'm going to have a little play, see if there's more ports at the back or something I can plug
Yeah,
in.
I think there's at least one USB at the back.
Yeah, which is not it's not ideal because I tend to use the same like braided long cable for my Xbox and my PlayStation. Just pop them in and out whenever I want to. And I'm always a little bit nervous about moving the PlayStation around with that silly stand that it's on. Right? Don't know why PlayStation can't just make a fucking console that you can just lie down without a stupid stand. That'd be great, please. So yeah, I need to have a little play around with that and see if there's another port I can, because at the moment it is blocking the USB, which is a little bit annoying when I need to recharge my controller. But yeah, other than that, I'm not very happy with it. And I was gonna try recording this podcast with it to see if I sounded any better than using this USB mic. But yeah, I was having some technical issues there. I think it's probably something to do with my privacy settings with Windows or something like that. So I need to have a little play. Hopefully I can get that set up. So that's it in terms of pickups, boys.
Nice.
In terms of playing, literally all I've played is a load more of The Last of Us Part 1. I think I'm 11 or 12 hours in, or maybe 11 in at this point. So I am, for Pengi, I've done the college section.
Okay, yeah, cool.
And I'm like, I've just hunted a deer, right?
Okay, yeah.
To give you an idea as to where I am. It's winter.
Oh, yeah. So this is where you would maybe play Left Behind.
Yeah, I did clock that, but I was like, nah, I'm just gonna play the game and then go back and play the DLC. Yeah, I think last week I'd only like just started it, right? I don't think I was very far at all, so I was only giving initial thoughts. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's very, very good. I think kind of echoing some of what I said last week is the quality of the game is just incredible. The detail is like just insanely good. It looks so good as well. It looks absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous. Obviously, I think I said last week I'm playing on the 30 FPS mode, so
yeah, so you got ray tracing and stuff.
Yeah, and it does look incredible. Like the lighting in places, like when you're doing the bits where you're underground and you are in the fungus sections, yeah, where you got to put your mask on. And like it'd be dark, and maybe there's like enemies and they've got their torches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just like the way that their torchlight reflects off all like the little dust particles that are flying around in the air is like, it's incredible. It just looks ridiculous. It looks absolutely just mind-blowingly good. So that's very awesome. Gameplay wise, it reminds me a lot of Tomb Raider, the modern Tomb Raider trilogy that we had, in terms of like the shooty mechanics and the
I
crafting
can kind of
mechanics.
see that. Yeah,
But I'm guessing that's probably because Tomb Raider probably stole a lot from Uncharted, which is obviously their games beforehand. So I guess there's a bit of like back and forth there. And weirdly, it almost reminds me a little bit of the Silent Hill 2 remake, from the sense that you're kind of like you're walking around these kind of abandoned urban areas. Obviously, Silent Hill 2 is a lot more like surreal, but they're both like survivally. They both got a little like horror. I know Silent Hill 2 is a lot more scary. Again, it's absolutely fucking terrifying. But this game does have places where it's quite intense with the horror. But yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving the story. It's a bit. On one hand, I really like the fact that you're like all over the country, like you're zigging, zagging backwards and forwards. But some of the time jumps are a bit jarring. In particular, it's like I think you're in Pittsburgh, and then you're like, oh, we're heading to Wyoming, and like my American geography isn't amazing, but like I've got a pretty good idea of where stuff is. I'm like, they're on foot. That's a long ass walk. Surely. That's got to be like a couple of months there, right?
Yeah.
But in the game, you just kind of time jumps. You're there. You're like, oh.
Yeah, and it comes out of like winter, spring, or whatever.
Yeah. So you're like, God, a lot of time must have passed in between that. Like, surely a lot of shit's gone down in between, just in between that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the story. I'm really looking forward to watching the TV show as
So
well
I
and
was going to
seeing
ask,
that.
what is your plan after this? Are you going to watch season 1 of the show after finishing the game? We're going to go play part 2. What is the plan after?
No,
Because
yeah, so I'll
obviously
probably
season 2
finish.
of the show is April, which isn't that far away.
Yeah, I know. I'll probably finish the game, do
Uh,
the DLC, and
mm,
then watch the show.
yeah.
And then, yeah, I'm not too bothered about watching season two when season two comes out. In fairness, it's obviously,
You
it's
say
taking a
that,
long.
but when you watch season 1 of the show, you're like, oh, that one good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe,
but like, I
maybe.
want to watch season 2, but I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot coming out as well. That's the problem. Like, I'm very backlog focused at the moment. This is the
Mm,
second of the backlog games I've just gone straight into, right?
yeah.
But like I said earlier, we're going to get to February soon, and suddenly there's games coming out left, right, and center, right?
Mm.
So that could put a bit of a hold in the momentum there. So, but yeah, but what I played, absolutely brilliant, love it, and that's literally everything I've played, I think.
All good then.
What about you, Pengi?
So me, so PlayStation played is I bought the used credit from a voucher and stuff from a PSN. I bought Freedom Wars Remastered, and I did start it playing it on the Portal, like it, playing it back on the Vita. I played it. Must have been last weekend. That's the thing. I was watching the football as well because the FA Cup was on telly, so I was watching some of the football and playing Freedom Wars on the portal. It's Freedom Wars, and it's weird. Yeah, like I'm looking at it and playing it on the portal. It's like, oh, this is how it looked like on the Vita. But I bet if I went and got my Vita out, this would actually look way better. Still like Monster Hunter ish sort of thing, but I haven't played a huge lot of it. That's when I played that. Um, Also downloaded the first Berserker Kazana demo, which I played a
Oh,
little
I
bit.
also, so I downloaded this, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
And then as I was loading it up,
Mm,
I was like, let's actually have a look because this is Souls like or not. I couldn't really remember.
yeah.
And then, like, the first thing that's come up was like how Souls like it is and how hard it is, and I didn't even bother.
Mm.
As it was loading it up, I closed it down. I was like, nah, I'm good. But I
Yeah.
have seen people really like the demo. People seem very excited for this. The Souls people.
Yeah. What I played was um like Ben Star's the VO in it, so you had like him talking, and I got a little bit, and some basic enemies killing quite comfortably, and I got like to one of like a. I guess it was like actually like a basic enemy, but I was struggling on them. Took me a couple of times to take them down. There was not a bonfire. It's like a sword in this, and sort of thing like that. And took me a couple of times time to get that. Cause I was trying to get the parry system down. So like they're attacking the parry, and then the like stamina meter goes down, and then to like attack them and stuff like that. But it seemed pretty cool. I can't remember when it's coming out though. And in the demo and the settings and stuff like that is a difficulty setting, so but it's stuck on normal. So I don't know if it's a bit of like going back to Dynasty Warriors, like oh that was really hard sort of thing. It's like the demo, like they like locked it into normal, so there's supposed to be a hard mode and an easy mode and stuff like that. It seemed quite interesting. I don't know if it would be a game that I would buy right away or anything, but if I sort of sell something, it could be one that I'm interested in on the PlayStation. Um, Another one I started again last night after playing first Berserker Kazan and just messing around with the demo. I started one of my other backlog games. I started Lollipop Chainsaw Repopped. Great.
Nice.
Yes, that game. You can tell it's I was gonna say you can tell it's a 360 game, but it feels even older than that from it. And it's like, oh, all the NPCs looked exactly the same. I've saved the same you know, football captain about 6 times already. Um, Sort of thing. And it's like, oh, there's like I'm gonna say bugs, like this most probably was back in the day and just like really bad design choices and stuff. Also, hasn't got the soundtrack, so you've not got like Cherry Bomb or Hey Mickey or anything like that. So it's like the soundtrack's like just generic music, and it's like
Oh
a
wait, they
J.
haven't got any of it. Like
No,
in
it
the
ain't got any of it. It's got like
that's mental.
they got the lollipop, sort of thing when you're buying like upgrades and stuff, but they haven't got like Cherry Bomb or Hey Mickey and stuff. And like when you do your power up, it's some weird J-pop music thing. So that like really lets it down, not having the soundtrack. It's like, oh, that's like a big negative. I'm already on the third like level. There's only like 6 levels, so I shouldn't take long to finish it. And I got it physical, so I can put it on like eBay or something afterward. I don't know how much they go for because obviously it's a Japanese import, so in the UK it might go for a good few quid. I don't know. So of that, and then also on PlayStation, I finished this one, and that was Nobody Wants to Die, which I think you would love, Craig. It's like it's like a visual novel detective walking sim game, which sounds really bad if you add those together. But it's got like Blade Runner vibes, and like there's like in a weird like 1930s, but in the future. Like Blade Runner's in the future, but you're still using like old school like computers and stuff. Like all the cars looks like they're from 1930s, coming after the mafia, but obviously they're all flying cars and stuff like that, and the buildings and thing like, and you like what you're wearing, you got like the hat, bit like matey and the mafia, but you're like a detective. There's been a murder, and you're trying to solve that, and it feels a bit like you're playing as like a Deckard in Blade Runner, that sort of thing. And so it's like a bit, it's much slower in the story. And you got someone talking to you, a bit like Delilah, I guess, on like Firewatch. She's talking to you from the thing like of this case and stuff. But what's interesting, it's a bit of a spoiler, but it's also in the titles. Nobody wants to die. Nobody actually like dies. Like the whole like sci-fi thing. This is people transfer like their conscience into different bodies and stuff. So like the rich are like like the rich elite are buying like 20-year-old like bodies and stuff like that and putting their conscience in there. And there's like a guy that's like 350 years old and stuff like that, but obviously he looks like he's 20. But there's actually been an actual murder. So you got to try like solve that, and that's the story. Like, oh, you're trying to solve this murder, and you got all these gadgets and stuff to do, and it's like enhance and stuff again, a little bit Blade Runner-y. Saying it's only like 3 hours long. It's quite an easy platinum as well. Looking at the trophy list, I'm missing like 4 trophies. It's just like, oh, I'd have to play the game again and do different choices because you do get dialogue choices. But it's really interesting. The world's really interesting and stuff like that. It's like, I could see the game being like expanded, or you do more in this like world, like like the poor revolting or something, because they can't, basically, because you got to pay like rent on your body, and like they can't afford it, and like revolt against the rich or something.
Literally the plot of the Netflix show Altered Carbon. Like
Is it?
everything you've just said is the plot of Altered Carbon. And
I've
season
never
1
seen that.
is really good. Season
Right,
2 is terrible, but sorry.
Okay, yeah, this is really good. Yeah, I also got like what's it called? Dark City, the film vibes from it as well. But yeah, I could see you really liking it, Craig. If you like Blade Runner, like Dark City, and you like story-driven games, I think you would mostly. And I picked up in the sale, and mostly would go in the sale at some point. And it looks really good as well. I played it in the 30 frames mode, and it looks like pretty impressive, and it's definitely got a style to it. So I really enjoyed that. But that's everything on PlayStation. And then on PC, I played some Hyper Light Breaker, which I did buy, and I got a little video on my channel. So I played that. It's in early access, and it's a roguelike as well. And I played a little bit. I found it really hard to find games and stuff. I don't know if it's because it's early access and people aren't playing it, or it's just a bit buggy because of early access and stuff like that. I thought it was fine. I did take advantage of the Steam's refund thing because I played it for less than an hour, and I don't know if I was going to play more of it. I think the concept was cool, and like it's definitely like 1.0 is out, and maybe it comes to consoles as well, sort of thing. And it kind of doing what like Elden Ring Night Reign's gonna do. Like three of you people get together, you dropped into the map, you start with some weapons, you can get new weapons off random enemies and stuff. Then you got to go fight a boss and stuff. And like a couple games I joined, and I was like, oh, these people are definitely playing it because they got the different characters and stuff. And I'm like, oh, they're like running off without me, sort of thing. And I was like, oh, now we've run to the boss. I'm like, okay, I've got like a basic pistol, and we're against this really like strong boss or whatever. Sort of thing. But so it's in early access, maybe, sort of thing. And it's not the only game Heart Machine are doing. They are doing Possessors, so which is obviously that 2D Metroidvania looking games that could be more up my alley. Then I also downloaded Starfield on PC, mainly to play Shattered Space, and it runs pretty well on my laptop, so that's quite pleasing. But I haven't actually played that much of it. I'm like still in. I don't know where Shattered Space goes. I'm in the space station at the moment at the start, going around like picking up logs and stuff like that, giving you some backstory and getting attacked like phantom enemy type things on there sort of thing. But it's mostly real. Try to play all the at least do like the story Shattered Space. I don't know if there is side quests or anything on it. So did you both play? Yeah, it's just side quests stuff. And then I also got 3 digital pickups because they're all on PC, which I got in the Humble Bundle like sale and stuff like that. One of them is Sleeping Dogs, which will play.
Hell yeah!
Dave.
Finally,
it was like 2 or 3 quid. It wasn't very much. I think it was like £2.39 or something like that
but
for the HD
Craig
version of it.
He's a bitch.
Of it. I haven't tried that yet, but it is like the PS4, Xbox One, like comparison version of it. It's not the PS3 360 version. If that makes more sense. So I got that. Then I also got one called Paranormus Site, which was also only on Switch and PC and mobile, but we definitely don't count mobile. So I've never got around to playing it. It is a visual novel, and it's supposed to be really good, but I've seen it being on sale on Switch before, but it's never really gone cheap enough for me to take the punt off it, where it was that like cheap on PC. I think it was like £9 or something. Well, I think on Switch, even when I seen it in sales, it was like 15 or something. And obviously now I don't have a Switch, so for like 9 quid, it's interesting, different one, like a visual novel. Work, I guess, well on PC with like the mouse selecting things and things like that. And then one that please Craig, I think this was 12. Was it about 12 quid, Dave? I think was in the sale for this one. And I have played a little bit of this, and that's Near Automata, Craig.
Well, I won't be pleased at this point. I'd be pleased if you actually play the fucking game, Penguins. That's why we play.
I have played something. I only played the opening bit. I played up to the bit where you explode against the first boss, and then you wake up in the space station. I've only done the opening, but I have started playing some Near Automata. So,
how many times is this we've bought this now, Penguin?
This is the 4th time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought it on PlayStation 4 when it was a launch game, or when it launched, on PlayStation 4 and only on PlayStation 4 at the time. I got to the forest, and I enjoyed what I played. I just never went back to it for some reason. Then I bought it on Xbox because, it was like, we want more Japanese games on Xbox. We gotta support the Japanese games on Xbox. And I don't even know if I even ever started it on Xbox, to be honest. You would have to go see if I got any achievements. And then I bought it when it came to Switch physical on Switch, and definitely never played it on Switch. No, think so. This is the wartime. Most time that I played the most of it outside of PlayStation. So yeah, but I thought for £9, I thought, yeah, that's a pretty good deal. Let's give it a go. I think, and it runs at high settings and the 60 frames a seconds. So that's all good. That's all good. Well, that's what we like to see. Yeah. So then it's just you, Dave.
Yeah, so what I've played and bought. Let me get my list back up. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to you, Dave, but were you upset that Craig loves The Last of Us?
No, I was just listening intently, as always. So, as for pickups, 2 pickups this week.
Mm-hmm.
The big one, which is we talked about last week, is the Steam Deck OLED. So I have a Steam Deck OLED now, boys. Nice, which I am enjoying. It's a lot better than it was when I first had it. Like, they've just improved everything. Really, that's the nicest way to do it. The nicest way to say it. Sorry. It's just a smoother, more sexy device, which is exactly what we want, Pengi. And I'll talk about the games I played in a minute.
I don't want. I got a perfectly good gaming laptop now.
You're a PC boy now, aren't you? Yeah. I hate Windows, as you know. The only other pickup, it's a bit of a weird one, Craig, is a copy of Gran Turismo Concept 2002 Tokyo Geneva on the PlayStation 2, which was it just cost me £3. I saw it in, is it called AT Games or MT Games, Pengi?
MT Games.
MT Games. I saw it for £3. I've never seen it in the world. What it is like, in all of the regions, there was basically like a motor show, and they did like a special version of Gran Turismo for each of the shows. So this is the 2002 Tokyo Geneva show. So it's kind of like almost like a weird like spin-off Gran Turismo game. I just thought it was interesting. It was £3, so I was like, oh well, at some point I will play a PS2 again. And like I said, I've never seen it in the wild. It was £3. I was like, why not? Treat yourself. But what I've played. So on the PlayStation 5, a bit more, I think, It Takes Two with Craig, I think. May have not, but we'll go with it. And Epic Mickey. Both pretty fun. And that was it for PS5. On the Switch, I have played... It was last weekend was the Splatoon 3 Frosty Fest, which is the Splatfest. It was really fun. My team didn't win, but I played another couple of hours, and I loved it, so it was fun. And Fantasian Pengi, which I'm 6 hours in, and every hour I play it, I love it more. Because it starts off and you're like, it's just like another kind of generic Scory Nix turn-based RPG. But every hour I've played it, I'm like, oh, this is good. This is much like Lost Odyssey. I love the story so far. I love the characters so far. I love the way they sort of display the story to you as well. Because obviously your character's lost his memories, much like Lost Odyssey, and they have these kind of like animated memory sequences which are narrated, which is really cool. Again, much like Lost Odyssey. The characters' voices are really good. The characters are really interesting. The combat system is super fun for a turn-based system. I love that you can sort of pile up all your enemies, Craigo, so you don't have to have random encounters. You can kind of do it all at once in like a big wave, with like bonuses and stuff, and you can kind of change the trajectory of your attacks to hit multiple things. It's cool. It's a really, really like engaging and like actually quite interactive turn-based battle system as opposed to like your standard battle system. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I think the only thing I don't like is how like a lot of the icons are quite clearly from when it was a mobile game. But other than that, like, it's cool. The camera thing that people complain about, I think, is so minor because it just changes which direction you're going in because it's like an old style game. But other than that, yeah, really, really enjoying it so far. And I actively want to play more of that game. It's one of those games where like I put it down and I'm like, oh, I'd love to get another half an hour of Fantasian in. But yeah, really, really enjoyed it. I know you've got it on PS5, I think, Pengi, right? Yeah, so I do really recommend it for anyone on any of the platforms. I think it's really cool. And then on the deck, so I have finished my first Steam Deck game, Craigie. And to shock everyone, it is an indie game.
Heresy.
I know. So it's a little indie game that was on. It was mentioned by like someone in the chat on like a kind of funny show about something that I had on, and I was like, okay. So I looked up, and it was this completely free game, like not free to play, not free to start with, just completely free game. It looks like it was like a student project to begin with, and it's called The Ware Cleaner. And basically, Craigo, is this sort of like isometric-y, like overcooked style game where you are the cleaner of an office, a very dirty office, and you go around and each level is like you cleaning up mess basically. But the twist is that from the second level, it's at night and you are a werewolf. But so if you spot someone, you instinctively eat them, and then you obviously have to clean up their mess as well. And so it's
Their mess or your mess at that point?
well, it's their blood and guts, because it is actually like a mature rated game, but it's like a cutesy like graphic style. And each of the levels get more harder, and you have like more different mechanics. And it's 7 levels. I think it took me about an hour to play through, and like I went back and got most of the achievements, the Steam achievements, and it was a really fun game. It's one of those games like I think it's come to Mac, and I think it's come to Epic Game Store. Like if it were to come to like the PlayStation Store or something, even for like a couple of pounds, I do really recommend it. It is really fun. Like I said to Pengi, like he has a PC. Like I really recommend it. Like it's a fun short game, like a stealthy kind of comedy kind of game. But yeah, it was really good. Really enjoyed it, and works perfect on the Steam Deck. So yeah, The Ware Cleaner. Did a little video on my channel about it. It's cool. Then I tried out Halo Infinite, the multiplayer. Obviously, it's free to play. Runs great on Steam Deck. So you log into your Xbox account, Craig, when you load up for the first time, and it synced all of my save data, all of my online stats, and all of my achievements immediately, without asking, without any I don't have a active Xbox Live subscription anymore, so it wasn't tied to anything. It just worked. So I have like 65% of the Steam achievements now, which is quite funny. Played a couple of games, works really well on Steam Deck. Did I get my ass handed to me by people that are much better at this game, especially on mouse and keyboard? Yeah. But it was
yeah, I forgot you'd have that, yeah.
Right, this was cross-play, but it's like mostly mouse and keyboard stuff, right? But it was good, I enjoyed it. Works really well on the Steam Deck, and it's one of those games like it's installed now. It wasn't too heavy in install because you can turn off like the 4K textures, so it was a 25 gig game. I'm like, oh, that's perfect for the Steam Deck. So yeah, it was really fun. And then I played a game I've actually played before, but I've had it in my Steam library for ages. A game called Steam World Dig. If you remember the Steam World Dig games, boys.
I do.
The first one, I owned all of them apart from the newest one. Is it Heist 2? Because it was some sort of bundle.
Well, Builders.
I don't have Build either, but I think Heist 2 is the newest one. So
Right.
That's the 2 that I haven't got. I have all the rest from a humble bundle from 2022 apparently. But yeah, I'm just playing through Steam. Again, perfect game for handheld. I played it on Vita, I think, the first time I finished it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just been playing that here and there. And then the main game on Steam Deck.
The second one's way better.
Yeah, I like the first one, but I don't think I've actually played the second one, but I do own it now on Steam Deck. Same with the card game I haven't played, but I own it now. So Sword of Gilgamesh, I think it was called. But yeah, I look forward to playing all of those because again, they're perfect handheld games. They're verified. They run at 60 at low wattage and stuff. I get 5 or 6 hours of gameplay out of them, so it's pretty cool. But the main game I've been playing is one of my backlog games. Obviously, Fantasian's one as well, but the other one is Doom 2016, which runs unbelievably well on Steam Deck, boys. I'm talking, it runs at high settings, 60 frames a second. It looks like the Xbox One version looks, at least, maybe even better, because obviously the Steam Deck has a better hard drive than the Xbox One. But yeah, amazing game. I've played 5 hours of it. And much like Fantasian, it's one I want to keep playing. Every time I put it down, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get another half an hour and just rip and tear. It's a very arcadey shooter that has a lot of it's more the style than substance, really. You don't want to just stand there firing your gun. You want to go in and melee people to death to get your health back and your ammo and stuff, which is cool.
It's about the rhythm, Dave. That's what it's about. If you just stand there, you will die fucking immedially.
Yeah,
it's about getting into that zone. It's like that Art of Rally game. You get into that Doom, and you're just moving. You're just doing shit. Yeah, shit's dying in front of you, and you're moving.
Yeah, definitely, and it really
constant motion.
It introduces new weapons, new mechanics, at quite a decent click as well. So I've got the double jump now, and the rocket launcher, and the super shotgun, and bloody blah, and I can upgrade them as I go. And there's a lot more there's a lot more Metroid Prime in this than I thought there was going to be. There's a lot more like platformy, like almost puzzly bits. I mean, the puzzles end to murder, obviously, but like it's one of those. I was like, okay, I was pleasantly surprised. I did the tower level like the other day, and I was like, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. But yeah, really good game. Chuffed to have it on Steam Deck. Runs perfect, and like I said, I think it's one of those things that it's why I wanted to go back to the Steam Deck, was to play these type of games in bed, because I just didn't get on with the portal. The internet was never good enough here for it. And obviously, I'll probably sell the portal now because my Steam Deck can double as a portal, right, Pengi? Because I can just have the remote play app, can't I?
Yeah, you could download the app.
Yeah, so I'll probably just bin off the remote play and the portal because there's no need for it now. But yeah, really, really enjoying round 2 of the Steam Deck, and I hope that this one does a lot better. I'm sure it will, and I'm looking forward to playing it. But yeah, it's been a very handheld week for me on the Switch and the Steam Deck. It's just the way I enjoy playing. I struggle because I spend all day at work sat in front of this very monitor on my work laptop, so I don't tend to want to sit here and game after work. And I can Craig knows this. Whenever I try and play games with Craig, like I get about an hour in and I've got such fatigue from sitting here and looking at this same screen that I'm like, I'm gonna have to call it, Craig. Like I can't sit here in this chair anymore. So the handhelds are coming in pretty clutch for me at the minute, and hence why I'm so excited for the Switch 2, because it's just it could not hit me at a perfect time right now. Like if it comes out in June, like I really think it's just gonna basically be the level up of my Switch, and then my PS5 will be there for the odd game that I can be bothered to buy and play, or like I get as a gift, right? So, but yeah, no Xbox anymore. That got sold for the Steam Deck last week. We talked about that last week. Rip. Just Craigo on Xbox and just me on Nintendo. And Pengi is on his everything is an Xbox that isn't an Xbox.
Yeah.
Xbox.
Everything's an Xbox.
Everything is, but nothing is at the same time.
Yes.
Death and destruction. But yeah, that's the show. If you got this stuff, thank you very much. And we will see you next week. Lord knows what the big announcements will be this week, but Pengels.
Are we not coming back for Xbox?
Oh, we've got an Xbox. Oh yeah, of course, that's just the 23rd, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What day's that?
Thursday, by the looks of it.
Thursday. Okay, well, so we'll probably see us a little bit earlier than Sunday next week. Maybe Thursday, Friday. Or Saturday.
Yeah. Yes.
But yes, it'll be Xbox next time. And then eventually it will be PlayStation. It will all be a cycle of constant shows forever and always. But until that time, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.